Hi, guys. Welcome to the weekly energy update for March 26th through April 1st. Yeah, we're going into April on this one. And we're already fully into Aries season. Things are weird. We've been talking about it, leading up to this energy. When Mercury moves into Aries this week, it's going to be mostly fire. And the only time that we're really going to have any kind of reprieve in like water or earth signs is when the moon is in a water or earth sign. We have some very interesting changes and shifts. The Aries new moon will be happening this week as well. So a lot to look forward to this astrological new year. It started off with a bang. If you haven't seen the Aries special that Gracie with Dem Planets on Twitter and Instagram, she and I did an Aries special about a week ago, and it's pretty funny actually. But it talks about all of Aries season and the energies that you're going to be feeling during that. So I'll link that video at the end of this video. Also, my April calendar is now open for reading. So again, I'm not sure if I'll get through the entire year to do readings. I want to continue to doing personal readings until I'm not really able to energetically anymore. So my calendar is open kind of in like a limited capacity, but there are quite a few appointments. I think that I'll probably top it off at 10 for the month. So if you want to get a reading with me, the prices have been dramatically dropped for this last opportunity to get a personal reading with me. So jump in where you can, and let's look at, let's just get into it. First full week of Aries season energies. So March 26th to April 1st. We're going to go day by day. And I didn't leave it up long enough, I think, for you guys to get a screenshot at the end last time. So I'll make sure to do that for you this time, to leave it up a little bit at the end so you guys can look at the transits. I like for you guys to be able to look at the transits yourself and even research them yourself and even see how they're going to affect you in your planets too. Reminder that I am going to be, for the members, offering an astrology school, sort of an astrology school. It's not certified. It's not going to be a certified school, but excuse me. It will help you to learn how to read your birth chart and other people's birth charts, and then be able to look at the transits and look at your birth chart with the transit. So, and see how that's affecting you. It's an evolving thing. So we're really going to be starting like with beginners, and it is only going to be offered to my members right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be offering it to the public, but yeah, that's going to be starting in April. So just keep that in mind. All right. We've got Saturday, March 26th. The moon will be in Capricorn, conjunct Pluto, and Mercury will be sextile Pluto. So going into this weekend, and really I'm doing this video on Friday, time has been so wacky lately. And I just, we did a staycation earlier in the week that was gifted to us from actually Gracie with Dem Planets. She's a really amazing person. Go watch the video. I promise you'll love it. But yeah, so, and so time just sort of I keep thinking, I woke up today and I was like, oh, it's Thursday. I still have time to be able to get the video done and it'll be uploaded on time. It will not be uploaded, won't be published on time. I am doing this Friday morning. And I like to get it for you guys on Friday morning, so you have it to be able to watch and get ready for the weekend energy. But time has been really, really weird. And this week is not going to be any different with that. And there are a couple of reasons for that. But this weekend is probably, everything's been really, really fast and kind of super confusing. And then we're going to come into this week where it's just going to feel kind of like meh. And also with Mercury sextile Pluto, we'll talk about it more, but everybody's going to be questioning everything. Like nobody, and honestly, nobody should be believing anything right now with how Neptune is, you know, trying the South Node and sextile the North Node right now. And so believing anything you hear is, honestly, like, make sure that you are researching stuff. Like, that's why I like to give you guys these energies so you can look at it for yourself and you can research it for yourself as well. So, but starting even on Saturday, you know, we're going to sort of have this, what's the word I want to use? I don't know. We're going to be questioning everything. There is a word. Y'all are going to put it in the comments for me and I'll appreciate that, because there is a word that's in my mind and someone knows what I'm trying to say, but we're all going to be questioning everything. Like we're not, you know, we're not going to be able to believe anything. Nobody's going to be gullible or anything, you know, and if you are gullible, you're kind of going to be like, what the heck? I can't believe that I fell for that. Which is amusing since we're coming up to April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. And I really wish that I would have actually researched April Fool's Day before I did this video, because I don't even know why it exists. I know that my grandmother was born on April Fool's Day, but if anybody knows the story of that, help me out in the comments as well. What is April Fool's Day? Sunday, March 27th, the moon will be in Aquarius square Uranus, and then we have Mercury moving into Aries. So the water energy, that Mercury was like that last kind of really good water energy that we had going, other than the South Node in Scorpio. So things are getting a little more heated and a little more dry and a little, you know, because we don't have all this until Venus moves into Pisces next week. I don't remember what day, but when Venus moves into Pisces, then that'll be a little bit more helpful. But this Aries new moon and this time is going to be a little bit fiery. you can start I mean, like, you don't even have to like put the fire on something. You just light the fire in the air and it automatically just, you know, does whatever. So then we have Monday, March 28th, the moon will be in Aquarius conjunct Venus and the Saturn conjunction. So Venus and Saturn will be conjunct on Monday at 21 degrees, and the Aquarius moon will be conjunct. And so this is a very Saturnian day. Saturn, 21 degree is, yeah. So we're really having to get very honest with ourselves about relationships this week. And the Aquarius energy is a more detached energy. And even though the Aquarius energy is a more detached energy, that doesn't mean that they don't feel very deeply. A Venus in Aquarius is somebody who just loves differently. And because the world all told us that we had to see each other as possessions, instead of seeing each other as individual sovereign beings, which is what Aquarius understands. Aquarius understands that everybody is their own person. Everybody came from a different, you know, kind of life and a different kind of world. And they don't place people in boxes and expect them to be somebody that they're not. Now that's a really evolved Aquarius way of things. Sometimes that can be, it's more of an elusive, detached, you know, not non-emotional kind of thing, but it doesn't mean they don't care. Detachment in certain situations can really help you survive better, really, you know, I mean, because you're not placing yourself in situations where you get so attached that you know, that you're codependent. And then when it's ripped apart, you have all this trauma built up because you're being ripped apart from it. Now, yes, are there reasons why we get attached to things? Sure. That's a topic for another time. But what this week is really going to be showing us in a big way, and we'll get into it a little bit deeper, what this Venus and Saturn conjunction will mean. But what this is showing us is a different way of relationships, having relationships with other people. It's a different way of community. It's a different way of coming together without it being everybody having the same, not everybody's going to have the same identity. That's what that whole cult nation, or like the whole cult idea, is all about, is like everybody is supposed to be the same person. No, 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 no. The whole point of community is so everybody is different, so we can all come together and share our different gifts that we have, because we're all unique sovereign beings. It's the opposite of what we've been learning. We're not supposed to be the same as everybody else. We're not supposed to live in the same box as everybody else. So this week is really showing us that. And the Aries new moon is that warrior that's going to be like, I can't, Aries is the I am, right? So that's the energy that we're leading up to. We're standing up for ourselves. We're becoming individualized. We don't want to have labels attached to us. We don't want to be a part of communities that make us feel like we're less than who we truly are. It's not even about being in a certain one relationship that we feel like we're less than who we truly are. It's about the whole, right? Okay, so, yep, this is a soapbox. This is a soapbox week. I'm going to be saying a lot of stuff about this. So Tuesday, March 29th, we have the moon in Pisces, sextile Uranus, and we will have Venus squaring the nodes, which is more relationship. And Venus is squaring the Taurus North Node, which Venus rules Taurus, right? And squaring the Scorpio South Node. And the Taurus and Scorpio South Node is really about our value system. If you think about it, when it's the how we build our own structures and our own lives around our, the way that we were raised to see value. And are we going to be sharing those same kind of values that we had as we were growing up, or are we going to allow ourselves to have our own identity and our own kind of value system, and see that our values do not equal the things that we own? Again, that's the attachment thing. That's that. And so all of this air energy, this Aquarius air energy that we have, that's teaching us how to detach from things, a lot of people don't like it, because they're recognizing the codependency that they have on stuff. And people don't like to look at that kind of thing. People don't like to see that kind of stuff inside of themselves. So Wednesday, we'll have the moon in Pisces joining Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. So that's going to be kind of just one of those floaty days. This Jupiter and Neptune conjunction is getting closer together. That's going to be happening a little bit over a week from now. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more probably next week as we get closer to it. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild time. And there's a lot of stuff up in the air. I really don't think any one astrologer truly understands what all of this is going to mean, what's going to happen, and how it's going to play out. I think that every astrologer has a really great way of interpreting it. This is why I need everybody to go within. And during this Pisces moon, joining Jupiter and Neptune, work with that during that time, learning to go within and finding the reality within yourself versus the reality that everybody else is talking about on the outside. It's not that I think that we need to be escaping what's going on in the matrix. That's not what I'm saying. Somebody had mentioned that I was blaming the planets for something last week. I don't blame the planets for anything that happens to anybody. These are the energies that we have to work with. And I like to guide people into the energies that they have to work with. Everybody's going to work with them in a different way. This is my personal interpretation. With this Jupiter and Neptune energy, a lot of illusion is going on. We still have Neptune also, again, trying the South Node and sextile the North Node. So believing in yourself, trusting in yourself, trusting in your inner knowing. For some of us, we are contending with so many demons right now because we want to find what that inner knowing is. And those demons have to be weeded out in order to find that. Please have loving support around you as you contend with that shadow work and those demons during this time, because none of it's going to be easy. And we deserve to have soft places to land. So make sure that you're either being a soft place for yourself or you have a support system for you for that. Thursday, March 31st, we'll have the Aries moon conjunct Mercury, leading up to the, leading up to the Aries new moon that is happening on Friday, April 1st. That Aries moon conjunct Mercury on Thursday is going to be really super spicy. Really spicy. And the funny thing is, because of all of this insane energy that's happening in Aries with this Aries new moon, we'll also have the sun conjunct Chiron that day. So it may feel more like a full moon. There's a lot of healing that's going to be involved here. There's a lot of ego coming up to the surface. Aries is the I am. We'll talk about that a little bit further. So, and the I am is the ego, and it's not that we need an ego death, and I'll get into that as well, but we don't kill the ego. We become friends with the ego, basically. So, the Aries new moon is happening at 11 degrees at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun will conjunct Chiron later on that day. So some really intense moments could happen during this week. And I think that I was talking with my partner last night, and we were talking about how much I've calmed down since he and I physically, we had been talking with each other for about 9 months, and then we came together physically at the end of the summer last year. And we were talking about how my ego has calmed down so much from back then to now. And so it's funny because I can actually now see it. I can see what happens. I can see my ego starting to appear in when the triggers are coming up, and I can start to feel my ego. And I'm just like, now I can just be like, all right, man, this is ridiculous. We're not going to go there. We're not going to be doing that. We're not going to allow ourselves to take on whatever bullshit, negative narrative that we've been telling ourselves for fucking years. We're not going to do it anymore. So there's this very real way for you to not argue with yourself, not because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. When we're arguing with other people, when we are creating chaos in our lives for no reason, when we're triggered by something and we react to it in a way where after the fact you turn around and you're like, oh, wow, I probably could have handled that a little bit better, a little bit differently. When you don't want to be that anymore, when you want to find a little bit more peace in your life, start to recognize the beginning of that. Start to recognize the way that the triggers look. Start to become more aware of what's happening, because most of the time what's going on is your ego is inflating whatever trigger or whatever issue or whatever problem that you're having in that moment, inflating it to a point where you there's like no return, right? Inflating it to a point to where there's really no return. I actually just realized something, that I have another day here, and then I want to give you guys time to take a screenshot. Hold on a second. Let me get this shared up again. And then we'll talk about the ego stuff again. Look at that. I have bonus Saturday. I forgot that I had a bonus Saturday. So if you want to take another screenshot here, and the reason why I have this up is because what's happening on that bonus Saturday. So after that Aries new moon, the moon will go into Taurus later on in the evening on Saturday. And we'll have Mercury conjunct Chiron and Mercury conjunct the sun. So we'll have the Aries new moon happening most of the day, or like most of the morning on Saturday, and then in the afternoon. So there's this, again, like this massive battle of, the Taurus moon is going to, I don't know if there's going to be enough earth energy to help that grounding nature that we really need to have. But yeah, the Mercury conjunct Chiron and the Mercury conjunct the sun, that can create arguments as well. So, but all of this, like all of the leading up to this, everything that's happening and everything that we're doing here is really showing it's us standing in that warrior, right? In that warrior stat, and recognizing that, the wounds that we have grown up with in our life, even though they are not, even though we're not responsible for the way that we were wounded or traumatized or the way that we were treated, we're not responsible for that. We're still responsible for healing. And the reason why we're responsible for healing is because we don't want to give that to anybody else, right? Okay, I'll get off that there. And then, all right, so let's look at the charts. Let's go day to day. Some of you said you wanted to see my picture bigger, but it's going to cover up the chart, because I tried to do that one time and move the box and it didn't work for me. So we'll figure it out. Something's going to happen where I'll figure this whole thing out, but I think it's evolving in a pretty good way. All right. So we're on Monday here. Saturday. We're on Saturday here. Saturday, the 26th, we have the moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto. So some deep, intense, emotional, really coming into this weekend with, you could even feel a little bit obsessive about things. If you don't feel like things are really going your way right now, you could really just be like, all of the reasons how I could have done better. Capricorn moons are really hard on themselves. And so when the moon is in Capricorn, we really beat ourselves up in big ways. So and conjunct Pluto is even going to make that even more intense. And then we have Mercury sextile Pluto. And this is really a transit where everything's going to be under a microscope, and we're all going to be looking at things in a deeper way. This is a great time to do some shadow work for yourself. And anything that you do work with shadow work for yourself happening this weekend will really result in a lot of positive shifts and changes. So be sure that you're not being overly persuasive with other people. It can really be easy to persuade people during this time. Sunday, March 27th, we will have the moon in Aquarius And so this is where, excuse me. This is where that moon in Aquarius will help us to be a little bit more of a detached emotional energy. Again, I know several moon in Aquarius individuals, and although they may seem detached on the outside, they feel very, very deeply. And I think that, it's because they feel in a different kind of way. It's just looked at, it's looked at as weird or odd. I don't think any of that, but the moon in Aquarius will square Uranus. So Uranus is over here in Taurus. That will happen about midday. So there can be some emotional shifts. There can be some, like, you may end up having like arguments with people and just look at them and be like, you know what, I don't have time for this. Like, you may end up like somebody's triggering you or you're triggering them, and you just kind of look at the situation, you're like, I don't really have time for this. That's sort of what it's sort of feeling like right now. And then Mercury is going to move into Aries late. Let's see. Oh, here we are already. Mercury's moved into Aries early in that morning, and we'll be there until April 10th. So Mercury and Aries are very forthright, and they say what they mean and mean what they say. And they'll take, they can take either one sentence and just be really like, cut it down and just be done with it. Or they can give you like this entire monologue and have you sit there and listen to an entire monologue. But as long as they're getting out what it is that they need to say, they're going to say what they're going to say. They're really brilliant. Mercury and Aries is really brilliant. But that's the thing, is they're so hard hitting and they're so edgy that they really don't think about what the person is going to feel, that they're saying it to. They're really just truth tellers. And so you may find yourself really just saying things and not, you need to pay attention to how they might make somebody else feel when you say things. But on the other end, you want to make sure that you're not like holding your truth in and shutting yourself down and not saying the things that you need to say. The Aries I am ego is very committed to their perception that they have. And they will identify with this perception. So, what it is that they're usually the ones that are right. I've actually, known a couple of Mercury and Aries to be lawyers because they're just like, boom, boom, boom. Like they're not wishy-washy about what they're saying. So with that detached moon in Aquarius, square Uranus in Taurus, the match, look at all this fire and air energy, you guys. Like, I can't hear. Let's even, hold on a second. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Okay. I was going to take off some of these points so that you could actually just see the planets that are here right now. But with Mars, the moon and Mars and Venus, Saturn, the only water we have is Jupiter and Neptune. So we have all of this air energy. We have all of this fire energy, even more fire energy coming when the moon is in Aries. And the earth that we have is, the big changers, the ones that create the shifts in our lives, the Uranus, the Pluto. The North Node is a big shift, right? Whenever we have our North Node return, we are massively thinking about our lives and like, what is it, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? Every time we have our North Node return. So don't light a match that you can't contain. It's cardinal fire and it's fixed air, so it's easy to contain it. It's easy if you have that fire and that drive in you right now, and you are, man, Aquarius energy is hustler energy. Aries energy is hustler energy. This is a perfect time for you to get your projects taken care of. This is a perfect time for you to focus on what you want to achieve this year. This is the beginning, we just had the beginning of the astrological new year and the equinox, and really allowing yourself to dig deep in and focus on what it is that you want to do to thrive, instead of paying attention to how the world wants to confuse you and distract you and scare you and all of these things. Again, am I saying that I want you to just not pay attention to what's happening in the matrix or what's happening in the world? No, of course I want you to pay attention. We have to be in the know. And that's the balance of it, right? And here it comes, Libra rising, Virgo North Node in the 12th house. Let's talk about the balance of it all. The balance of being in a human experience and still allowing yourself to find a mindful, peaceful awareness life, right? And it's possible. It's entirely possible, but you have to start paying attention to how you attach yourself to all of the things in your life. And you have to start paying attention to how dependent you are, how codependent you are upon the people, upon the jobs, upon the situations, upon, all of the distractions. We become codependent upon the distractions. So this moon in Aquarius ushering in, it's not going to be easy, kind of pushy. This Aquarius moon and this Aries energy, it's kind of pushy. But the amazing part is it pushes you to your greatness if you allow it to. And you learn, because this is where we have to learn how to be centered. And as the moon goes through this Aquarius phase into Pisces, teaching, we'll talk about that here in a minute as well. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Every time I do that, I forget what I'm saying. But this moon in Aquarius wants you to find that grounding, so that you can, because the more grounded you are in your present moment, the more you stop and you pay attention to your breath and you breathe, the less the outside world has opportunities to trigger you. Because when you know who you are and the focus that you have for your life, doesn't matter what the rest of the world wants, says, does. Takes a long time. That's not an overnight practice, but this energy that we have coming this week is really giving us opportunities to do it. It's not going to be easy, but finding your own way of doing it. I've said this before to people. Meditation is not just about finding enlightenment. Meditation is not about astral traveling. Meditation is not about quieting your mind. It's such a stigma for people to believe that. Meditation is about listening to the thoughts that are coming into your mind and categorizing them in your mind so you can take care of it in the outside world. So your outside world isn't so chaotic. You become orderly in your mind, in your energy, in your body. You relax your nervous system. You recognize that you don't have to live in the past or live in the future in order to succeed or get anywhere in life. You start from where you are. And so this Aquarius energy wants to help us to detach from things. Is that going to be the way everybody's going to act? And is that going to be the way everybody's going to, no. There will be people that will do everything in their power to try and get on your nerves during this time. Everything in their power. So, moving on to this next Monday, Monday. So here we have, let me back it up a couple hours so you can see this, y'all. Crazy. We have the moon and Venus and Saturn all together here at 21 degrees. So what does that mean? So the 21 degree is the Capricorn degree. Interesting that I'm also showing this it's in the 10th house, which is also the house that Capricorn rules, but also all this Saturnian energy that we have going on. This is like going to be the most Saturnian day probably of the week. Even, well, Capricorn, on Saturday and Sunday, the Capricorn moon was Saturnian, but we're like literally the first part of our, the weekend and going into the week is going to be very Saturnian. And that can be super heavy energy. Like you can really feel bogged down. You can really feel beat down by this energy right now. So all of this here is bringing up a lot of relationship, emotional status. We talked about how the Aquarius energy is the kind of energy that wants to have a different kind of relationship. It wants to have a more open, a more progressive kind of relationship with people. The thing about, Venus in Aquarius is such an artistic and expressive energy when they're in the right arena, I guess, when they're in, when they're with the people that vibe with them. And the funny thing is the only way that you need to be a person that's going to vibe with a Venus in Aquarius is if you're authentic, if you're being real. A Venus in Aquarius is going to be able to see, your authenticity right away. So having this moon in Aquarius, Venus conjunct Saturn, love is an experience to share with everybody, and the lessons that we learn about other people and ourselves in these experiences teaches us about what we need the most in our lives. So if we're not able to separate our emotions from these experiences, we'll always be controlled by them. This is also a really good time for you to look at your budgets. That Venus, that Saturnian Venus with Saturn right there is asking you to get serious about the money that you're spending or the money that you're bringing in. Cryptocurrency there might be a lot of news about cryptocurrency during this time. There's been a lot of pressure with cryptocurrency ever since Venus has been in Capricorn and Aquarius. So there's a lot of interesting shifts and changes that are happening right now. And there's not a lot of grounding energy. There's not a lot of slowing down kind of stuff. So you really have to learn how to pace yourself right now. And that's the other thing is, like, with all of this chaos and all of this confusion that's going on and all of this fire and air energy just swirling around, you grounding yourself is going to be your saving grace every single time. So let's look at Tuesday. We have the moon in Pisces. Excuse me again. My allergies are kicking my booty. Spring is here. So we have the moon in Pisces, and really just kind of floating us through this week. The moon will be sextile Uranus. And I think that this could actually be a really good day for creative projects. If you're someone who is taking this energy and you're using it for your own like hustle capacity, the Pisces moon will help with that. Now, this energy is heavy. It's, we're going from we have this very Saturnian energy happening. We have this very cardinal energy happening. If you feel like you're not doing enough, because that's what could really happen right now, this Pisces moon can make you feel like you're not good enough, like you're kind of losing sight of the vision. So another reason to really allow yourself to get grounded, excuse me. Venus will be square the nodes. We have Venus here at 22 degrees. Let's see, hold on here. Later on in the day. Here we go. Venus at 23 degrees. There we are. Begins to square the nodes at 23 degrees. Remember that we still have this Neptune sextile and trine as well. So this could really, I think that this is going to, first of all, possibly bring old relationships back. Like there's some kind of healing or some kind of, you're recognizing because of this this like eccentric, Venus detachment. First of all, you could really be more attracted to people that you normally wouldn't be attracted to. You'd be more attracted to a different type, if you will. I don't really, I guess I had a type growing up, but when I realized that my type was the only person that, loved me for who I am, then I realized that I didn't really have a type at all. I just had a person. But you could be more attracted to different types of individuals, or recognize that you want to be more attracted to different types of individuals as well. This is bringing the value of how we all see ourselves in relationships, and with the value that we have with the relationships that we have with everything, with money, with other people, with ourselves, with our own self-worth, and bringing it to the forefront. And are we, do we have this value for ourselves to the point to where we're not, we're like so shut down and we're not allowing anybody else to, come into our world or into our energy? Or are we learning that everybody is sovereign? And so, the only way that other people can actually hurt us is if we allow them to hurt us, is if we allow them into our space and they show us that they're not for us, and we continue to allow that to happen. I think this time is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people when it comes to relationships, especially after that big Venus retrograde in Capricorn that we had. And now we're sort of like, seeing it all in a different kind of way. So yeah, and with the Pisces moon, it's sort of, again, and I've been saying this a lot, it really depends on where your mind is in all of this. Is your mind focused on the negative aspects of everything that's happening in your life? Or are you allowing yourself to see that things can be better when you shift your energy, when you stop doing things that you don't want to do? Like, why are we still doing things that, I understand that we have responsibilities in life and stuff like that, but also those responsibilities, those are structures that we built for ourselves. And sometimes we stop resonating with the structures that we built, and those structures have to look different. They have to start changing and evolving. Staying the same has never been good for anybody. And when you invest in yourself, you actually get to see the value of other people differently as well. So, there's a lot that can be done with that Venus energy. She's here for the justice and the balance of it all, and recognizing that you are here for the human experience, but you also have to have your own sense of identity for yourself. So Thursday, the 31st, nope, Wednesday. Wednesday, the 30th. See, I just want to jump timelines again. I feel like that's all I've been doing lately, is jumping timelines. When you're just like, how did I miss those last 2 days? I don't quite understand. Okay, so we have the moon in Pisces joining Jupiter and Neptune on Wednesday. Don't force anything during this time. Life is, You can enjoy the fantasy parts of life too. It's so funny because as we get closer to this Jupiter and Neptune conjunction, like I said, with this Pisces moon that we have here, we're really sort of getting a taste of what, especially since the Pisces moon, right? I have it showing like right in between Jupiter and Neptune right here. We really sort of are going to get a taste of what this is going to feel like. This Jupiter and Neptune are going to be conjunct at the 23rd degree and the 24th degree. So it's going to be about 2 weeks where there's like this dance that they had the same way that Mars and Venus danced, just a shorter amount of time. And, you know, so we can really get into some super delusional territory during this. A lot of people aren't going to be able to handle the energy very well. You know, and I am a firm believer that if your mental status is not doing well during this time, and this Pisces moon is going to kind of start to give you some clues of this. And so that's why I'm bringing it to your attention now. But if your mental status isn't doing very well, I'm a firm believer in reaching out to people, but I'm also a firm believer in knowing that that's very hard to do because I've been there. You don't want to be a burden. You don't want the shame. You feel the shame of it. This is why it's so very important for you to go within and find out who you are. The only reason why you're contending with these demons is because you are a different person than the world told you you were. And so it's time for us to find out who that is. We've been through massive shifts and massive world changes in the last couple of years. And everybody's lives have been turned upside down in some sort of way or capacity. Nobody was unaffected by what has happened in the last several years. And during this time, we've had several opportunities for ourselves to find out what it is that we need to focus on, find out what it is that our shift is, find out what our purpose is. And a lot of people are waking up to that now, and they need a little bit more guidance. That dark night of the soul can be very, very exhausting. So reach out to a reader, me, somebody else. It doesn't have to be me that you trust. Reach out to friends that you trust that aren't going to make you feel crazy. I remember a lot of people made me feel crazy during that dark night of the soul time. So but that's sort of what this is pushing us to. And we could either, you know, slack on all of the responsibilities we have or push forward on them. So then we have Thursday, the moon moves into Aries. Leading up to the new moon that will happen really early Friday morning. Feisty, feisty, feisty. Look at all of this. We have the moon will join Mercury on Thursday. So giving us an emotional boost to that Mercury boosty, that fiery Mercury energy. And a lot of people's egos are going to be loud. A lot of people are going to probably be really aggressive. This new moon is not going to be for the weak. You can see the sun here is with Chiron. So, and Chiron in Aries, you know, I've talked about this before, but Chiron in Aries is the warrior spirit. It's, you know, yes, is Chiron the wound that we were born with? Sure. But Chiron's wound is for us to empower ourselves. I have this amazing book by Melanie Reinhardt about Chiron. I will put it in the description box, the name of the book, but it's an amazing book. And it talks about how we find our power through Chiron. We find our healing through Chiron, and we find how we can heal others, help others to heal. And this is about us standing up for ourselves and standing up for other people. There's a horrible thing that's happening in the world right now. And war is never easy. And I've never really understood it. I don't think that I ever really will understand it. And I think that something pretty big is going to be happening with that. I'm not going to be a predictor of that, but I think that I think that things are going to be changing dramatically with the war. And I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a good thing, but I think this Aries new moon people are fed up. People are really fed up. And when the masses get fed up, it's like, it's kind of like, that's the point of no return when the masses get fed up. And it'll be interesting to see how everything kind of turns out with that this week. All I can say is keep pushing that direction. Like anything you can do to help anybody in Ukraine, just keep pushing the help. The fact these people are very strong in what's happening, and it sucks that it's happening to them. And just keep pushing the help, because I feel like they're going to need it even more. So coming in this next week. And I would not be surprised if more countries start to get involved. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so then we have the new moon on April 1st at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight Time. You see this, it's at 1:24 a.m. Central Daylight Time, since I'm in Kansas City. But we have this new moon, and it's sandwiched right in between Chiron and Mercury. So there's a lot of fight coming into this. There's a lot of arguments and a lot of fighting, and a lot of people no longer wanting to be invisible. People want to be seen. People want to be heard. And I think that this is going to be a great time for people to stand up for themselves. But I also, on the balance, on the flip side, because everything in life has to have a good and bad balance. That's what this is all about. And I think that it's going to be a really big firecracker energy, like literally like explosive energy. People will be super emotional. The only water and earth that we have are outer planets right now. And you really have to stay grounded. No one else is going to be able to do this for you. The nodes are sort of anchoring us through this Aries new moon. But even still, there's that deceptiveness, right? There's just not a lot we can't depend on the outside energies to keep us focused and aware. And we can't depend on what's going on in the world to keep us centered and, unattached to the outcomes of what are going to happen. Because that's the thing, is we get very anxious about the outcomes because we don't know what's going to be happening. And we get, that anxiety that builds up inside of us that creates the ego, and that creates, oh my gosh, but what if this, and what if? And the only way to allow yourself to quiet all of that chaos in your mind and all of the what ifs is to stop living in the future, stop trying to guess a future that doesn't exist yet. I don't care how many people think that they can predict the future. It doesn't exist yet. Things can change. You can predict a future coming and then drop a spoon and spend that 10 seconds picking that spoon up, and everything changes. Timelines are shifting dramatically, constantly, all the time. The more the more you level your vibration up and you remove yourself from spaces that are not resonating for you anymore, the more you recognize that you can be detached from the outcomes of the things that are happening in this world and still be able to care, and still be able to take action, and still be able to create, and still be able to have a peaceful life for yourself. I've seen, here, let me take this off. We'll talk about Saturday here in a minute too. I'm not going to show you the chart for that until next week. I've seen a lot of people really just down. We didn't talk about, we kind of are already talking about it, but we didn't talk about the sun conjunct Chiron. So the sun will be conjunct Chiron this day, later on in the day. We go a little bit further. And then we'll talk about, so we see here the sun is conjunct Chiron. And so this is where we're going to see our wounds as a source of healing. This transit can really give us a sense of our purpose if we allow it to, or this transit is going to, knock off our ego in a really big way. But I've seen a lot of people really down right now and really just not being able to deal with the shit of the world and the things that have been happening. Some people that I know have really, great souls and deserve to have peace in their lives. And it's so funny because it's hard when I see that. It's like I want to reach out and be like, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you're supposed to do. And of course I don't want to step over my bounds with anybody. And the only thing that I can say is if you're struggling right now, if you're struggling with your own mental, if you're struggling with yourself, if you're struggling at all, talk to somebody you trust first, because getting it out, letting yourself process it, and however that works, maybe it's not talking to somebody. Maybe for you, it's journaling. Maybe for you, it's writing a song. Maybe for you, it's taking a walk. However it is, maybe for you, it's going out underneath a new moon and crying your eyes out and begging the universe to show you what you need, whatever. Whatever it is that you need to do to help yourself process all of this so you're not holding on to it. Whatever it is that you need to do to see the parts of your life that are holding you, that you've allowed yourself to be held hostage in. Because we have moments where we can shift and change our lives, and then we get scared, and it's fine. Everybody gets scared. That happens. We're human, right? We're doing a human experience. But everybody has the opportunity to change their mind every single day. And a lot of people that have been traumatized and brainwashed and led to believe that they don't have that sovereign act to do for themselves are recognizing that now. They're recognizing that they have every right to speak their truth. They have every right to live differently. And a lot of us grew up in situations and, as children where we didn't feel like we had a say in what happened to us. And I think that allowing yourself to see yourself outside of those situations and how they didn't break you, they just molded you to be a particular type of person. And that's what this Aries, the sun conjunct Chiron in Aries is really wanting you to see. Now, is that what everybody's going to see? Or is everybody going to see their greatness and their power through their wounds with this? No, a lot of people are going to be very outright egotistical, outright loud, outright aggressive. In those moments, you cannot control. The only thing that you can do in the moments when everybody else is acting a fool is to control your own body and your own energy. You can either remove yourself from the situation or you can choose to stay and just simply observe, be an observer. You don't have to react to anything. Unless people are treating you poorly in that situation, I would suggest just be an observer, just watching people and being like, this is not like, this is how I look when my ego's crazy. Like, I don't want to look like that kind of thing. Yeah. So very interesting week coming up. super triggering. A lot of relationship stuff. Some people are going to detach themselves fully from everybody, and some people are going to find how they just would rather have a different type of relationship, which is also okay. So I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me for another weekly energy update. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.